Hey, welcome back to the Infos Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And there can be only one. One Henry Cavill.
Yes. And certain people we know are very, very ready for this.
Did you watch her video?
No, but I saw the title of it. My body is ready.
I watched up until the part she said her uterus was doing somersaults or cartwheels or something, and I had to turn it off because my wife was like, she's drunk. I'm like, no, she's just high on Cavill.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll get to that. So we got news bites this week. We're talking Nightwing issue 80. This series keeps getting better. We're talking the Bad Batch. This series, I have thoughts. And then Supes and Lolo returns, and I gotta say, I'm mad at y'all. It lost 40% of its audience from 5 weeks ago. And this was a great episode. Just spoiler alerts. But yeah, anyway, D, what's going on, man? How you doing?
It's a long week, but ready to wind down a little bit. It actually feels like summer outside.
Yeah,
it actually feels like summer. Or summer is almost here, I should say. And thankfully, over on this side of the river, I have yet to see any of those buggy, nasty
cicadas?
Creatures. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen one yet. We haven't had any yet. I'm curious if the dog's going to try and eat them.
Well, evidently dogs do, because she walks a dog, and the dog was trying to eat him.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. I don't know.
Toph might have a good time.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm more concerned about the fact that a mouse crawled up under the hood of my new car and tore it up. So that's fun.
Yeah.
It's fixed. They super fixed.
You know what you do? You find that mouse. You don't do anything to that mouse.
Yeah.
But what you do is tie it up, find its family, then just obliterate its family, and you say, you know why I did this? I'm sending a message. Tell your other mice friends what'll happen to them and their families.
Feed the mouse's family to a snake one at a time in front of them, keeping them all in a box where they can't see anything other than my hand reaching down to grab them.
That's actually even better.
Dude, you can't do a who's more sick in the head off than I'm always gonna win.
Sending a message. Well, because some of the stuff I'd rather not. I have a reputation to uphold.
I'm waiting to hear what his reputation is. Anyway, all right, let's hop right into this. We opened with this, so we might as well start the news bites off with Henry Cavill is picked to selected cast to star in the Lionsgate Highlander reboot from Chad Stahelski, who, if you don't recognize that name, shame on you. Shame on you. He was Keanu Reeves' stuntman in The Matrix. But more importantly, he was the director of John Wick. So, with the Kerry Williamson penned script, with William H. Moritz and Josh Davis producing. So the article's in Dateline, or Deadline, not Dateline. So we don't know the plot yet. And it says here, as is whether Cavill will be playing a brand new character to the universe or character from a previous project. The reboot has been gestating for a while, with everyone from Ryan Reynolds to Justin Lin involved at some point. But sources say these latest pieces coming together put the film into a position to go into production. Real quick, here's my thought. Henry Cavill is probably one of the three biggest male stars on the planet right now. And Lionsgate was brilliant to snatch him up when Warner Brothers did their Warner Brothers thing.
They shat the bed again.
Because, well, right. But here's the thing, is the whole deal that we talked about earlier this week with Warner Brothers, it's going down a little bit different than what was originally reported. Discovery is going to be the one taking on Warner Media. And so there's all sorts of rumors flying. Like Discovery is when I say it's conservative, I'm not saying like Republican or Democrat conservative. I'm saying they're very conservative with what they do, right? They try and be for everyone. And so I can't imagine they're going to want to be attached to a black Superman with Ta-Nehisi Coates.
I hope not.
So
I really don't.
I mean,
So,
I just can't. I can't imagine that's something that they as a company would want to do. But yeah, I want Cavill to play Connor, in the Highlands of Scotland. I think that would be a good role for him. I mean, we know he can fight. The other thing I thought is he might be a good Ramirez. Sean Connery's character.
yeah, I would rather. This is one of those cases. I just rather them do a lore for his character, especially if it's going to be. Because this is the thing. And first of all, when I heard this news, I went Daniel Bryan, and I just did the yes because I'm a huge fan of Cavill.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've liked him. Yeah, I loved him in Man of Steel. First, I actually saw one of my other good movies from the early 2000s when he was a teenager was what is that movie? The Count of Monte Cristo. He played the son.
Yep.
Edmond Dantes' son. So this is kind of why I want this to be its own standalone. Or, and this is the other thing, it could be one of those things how horror movies have done, like Halloween did, where it completely blasted all the Halloweens after the first one, and then that was canon. If they did that with this, it would be Highlander 1 and Highlander the series.
Yeah.
Because those are the only two good parts about the Highlander. I never saw the anime, so I have no idea what that's about. I was just looking it up. I was like, oh, there's a Highlander anime.
I don't remember. I don't know if it got released.
Yeah, it could have been one of those. But also there was a Highlander, because I remember when they were talking about Ryan Reynolds a few years ago.
Yeah, I was like, no, God, no, please, no, please,
no, no. I love Ryan Reynolds in certain roles, but he can only play certain roles. And a Highlander, no, he can't do that. But there was also a game that I was looking forward to for a while. This was like 7-8 years ago, and kept reading it. Oh, it's in production. It's this, and then they just, I guess, axed it or what have you. But yeah, this is good news. You're right about Lionsgate, and I'm really hoping this is kind of they could do their own thing with this, especially with Stahelski, at the helm. I'm looking forward to the action, and with him doing The Witcher, he's already proficient in swordcraft because he does all his stunts and everything. So he's going to be able to just get right into that role, and that's going to take a lot off of, because a lot of times movies like this, it's that training of learning how to use whatever weapon. He's not going to have to do that. So
The Witcher has done a lot of really cool things with special effects with the swords, where he's actually fighting with like a half sword, and they're CGIing the rest of the sword in. I thought that was a really cool like reveal in some of those YouTube videos. Here's what I would really like for this to be: is it's a direct spin-off of Highlander the Raven, and he's and it happens after Highlander the Source, where he's Duncan's kid, because Duncan was the one who could have kids.
But that would make all of that other stuff canon, which
I'm kidding.
Gosh.
Oh my god, I couldn't even say that was a straight face. No,
I know.
Honestly, let's just
I got sick in the stomach a little bit from that.
I love Highlander. I still watch this series. I told you. I think I'll tell this again. The guy from the Who played Hufix Can on Highlander.
Oh yeah.
Eric, whatever his name is. Eric Idle. No, that's not right. Anyway, everyone knows what I'm talking about. I was like, this guy's the lead singer of the Who? That's Hugh Fitzcan from Highlander. Like, I was.
I remember you told me that. Yeah.
It never, ever crossed my mind that they were the same person.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate 70s music. Anyway, but no, I think I would like this to be just a fresh reboot. Start with Connor. Yeah, start with Connor. Maybe this is this could be part of the time in between, um, when the Krugen kills Ramirez and Connor's learning how to be Connor. That might be cool, where it's just strictly a period piece. There's no Krugen, there's none of that. It's just Connor McLeod like learning to be the Highlander.
The Kurgan. Who
So-
played that? Was that
That's
Was that
Clancy
Clancy
Brown.
okay? Yeah.
Mr. Krabs himself.
Yeah.
I don't care what
really
you say. Mr. Krabs is the greatest thing Clancy Brown has ever done. 100%. That like I will fight anybody to the death about that.
I'm really excited about this, and I'm really looking forward to see him getting a franchise of his own.
Absolutely.
Take that, WB.
See you later. All right, let's move on to we have some Green Lantern news, or bad news as the case may be. So David Ramsey is set to direct next week's, or has directed next week's Supes and Lolo,
Which is great.
Is super exciting to hear, but we get a and so this is from Cosmic Book News. I don't know how like on the ball they are. They didn't really cite their source. Oh, no, they did. TV Line. Saying that David Ramsey will not. There's no Green Lantern in the cards for David Ramsey.
The opening line of this article is so pinpoint accurate. Leave it to the CW to disappoint us all. And,
yep.
I mean, that's pretty much what they've done for the last 7-8 years.
So, yeah, I mean,
I mean, they've had their good moments, but overall, the CW is just a disappointment.
See, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop on, Supes and Lolo. Let's be honest. I'm just enjoying the ride while it's good before it goes full CW. Yeah. But yeah, so no, they questioned him about Green Lantern, and he explained that the Green Lantern Corps is not even a factor. His Legends of Tomorrow episode, and Ramsey says Diggle turns down the offer of the green box, and it seems they aren't even referring to it as a Green Lantern ring, which it was what the other episodes explore. So, I don't know. I mean, he could be, honestly, he could be just saying this so it's a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But so it says, so the article goes on here. It says, so I had to guess, I'm guessing Ramsey wasn't allowed to play Green Lantern in the Arrowverse due to the upcoming HBO Max series and whatever Jar Jar Abrams is planning with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Zack Snyder also wasn't allowed to use the Green Lantern. Zack Snyder wasn't allowed to use Green Lantern because it was just kind of tacked on, and it was something he filmed in his backyard. So let's not pretend like there was some big conspiracy there.
Well, this is the thing I'll say about that, though. That is a good point you make. However, at the same time, based on what they've done with Arrow, the Flash, and other characters and forcing them to write them off, I would not put it past WB to have done that because they've done it multiple times in the past. So
true.
Because my first question was, how much of this is driven by WB and that whole HBO Max plan of the Green Lantern? That was one of my questions that I have, and again, we're never going to find that out because whatever. But again, it's just I would love to see Diggle as a Green Lantern. But again, we're talking about the CW.
So
and
I thought I was gonna want to see Diggle as the Green Lantern. And then today, the CW released Jordan Fisher in the Impulse costume.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So just go to Bleeding Cool. It's on there real quick. So he looks like he's pooping his pants in the picture. I'm not gonna lie. That's what his face looks like and kind of the way he's squatting. This is horrible. It looks nothing like what you would want Bart Allen to look like. I have no idea who Jordan Fisher is. I don't. It's To All the Boys. P.S. I Love You. Those are your favorite movies. But yeah, I mean, it's like, oh my god, he looks horrible. He looks horrific, and Like,
Is this for a kids show?
this is for the Flash. This character is going to premiere on the Flash.
That is honestly one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Here's the thing. After seeing this, I was,
Yeah.
because I was ready to come in like a ball of fire, like David Ramsey deserves to be Jon Stewart. David Ramsey should be TV's Jon Stewart. A generation of kids grew up with Jon Stewart as their Green Lantern. They deserve to see that in the CW verse if you're never going to give them Batman. And after seeing this, I'm like, screw you, CW. You don't deserve to have Green Lantern. You certainly don't deserve to have David Ramsey as Green Lantern.
Okay. Yeah. And that was kind of my caveat, what I was saying. Despite how much I've liked the special effects on Supes and Lolo, and again, I know it's TV, so I know they have to cut corners somewhere. But Green Lantern would be a VX intensive character, even more so than Clark and Superman. So yeah, I love David Ramsey, and I'm so glad to hear that he's being put in the director's chair.
Yeah.
For not just this episode, but I think he said there are 5 episodes that he directs across the Arrowverse.
He's doing this one, some other episode of one of the other shows, and then, or maybe 2 episodes of one of the shows, and then he's in 3 episodes of Batwoman, Legends of Blah, and I guess I don't know what the third one was. I don't care. So, but he's starring and directing in all of those. So.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's
so
pretty cool.
I'm happy for him. Funny story that my sister-in-law actually went to college with him.
Oh, cool.
So like I found out about like several years ago when my brother was watching, first started watching The Flash or whatnot.
Does she mess with your brother and like, that could have been my husband?
I don't know.
He was my
funny.
man once. Your brother be like, go ahead. Get out. I don't know your brothers. I don't know if he'd do that or not. Anywho. All right, so let's move on. The Mirror War. So when I shared this with you, you were thinking it was something different.
Yeah, when I saw the headline, I thought it was live action. And considering where they've gone with Star Trek, the last 2 series, I want nothing. I was almost disgusted. I almost didn't want to read the article, and then I brought it up, and I was like, "Oh, that looks like a comic." And then, "Oh, yes, it is a comic. Oh, it's by IDW."
Yep.
So that significantly changed my thoughts on this.
Yeah. So this is by Scott and David Tipton. This is going to be a year-long event, so 12-issue maxi series, and it is it's another chapter in the Mirror Universe next generation that we've been getting in the comics over the last few years, which have been just outstanding. Just really, really quite good, and a great use of the Mirror Universe. And the fact that, there was never really any Mirror Universe stuff with the next gen crew, it's nice to see their, more militaristic doppelgangers, if you will.
I have to say this though. The image of Riker on that cover looks so jacked up. Like it looks like they superimposed his face on the picture on the body. Like separate. If you take them separately, they look fine.
Wait, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the first cover that you see with like the more cartoony version, or the more photorealistic version?
The photorealistic one.
So,
like when he's like he's kind of like shot from the back, and then his face is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to complain about that. I mean, it's just his head is a little out of perspective with the rest of his body.
A lot out of perspective.
So,
but
I've seen.
I mean, that's not going to take away from.
Yeah, I've seen much worse.
Wanting to see it. Yeah. We're not going to say any names, but yes.
I've still yet to see a foot drawn by Rob Liefeld. So anyway, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Anyway. No, I'm super excited about this. I really liked what they
Yeah.
did. I just think this is just another indictment against the Kurtzman Star Trek, that they had to go the mirror universe as the first season of what is
Discovery.
it? Discovery. What is it? STD. Um, so I was gonna call it TDS, but I was like, that's something else. No, as STD, and yeah. So hopefully they steer clear of this from Picard with the mirror universe stuff, and just leave it to this very well written comic book.
Yeah, and again, I've told you, and you're like a proud papa over there, because I'm starting to work my way back into the world of comics, and this is definitely one of those that I will pick up.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
again, I haven't read any Trek comics since I read the tie-in for the 2009, and I don't think I've read anything.
The little prequel, the Countdown. Countdown was great.
Yeah,
the problem with
yeah, that
Countdown
was good.
is it was so good that they didn't use any of it in the movie.
Yes, that was a problem. Even though I really enjoyed the movie, but there was that disconnect between what we saw in that prequel tie-in to the movie. But overall, I'm looking forward to this.
There've actually been some really good like Kelvin versus Star Trek stories in the comics.
Are all of them under the IDW banner?
Yeah, IDW has the license to this particular intellectual property. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah,
and when is
it starts in September. This
September. Okay.
September 2021, coming to a comic book store near you. So yeah, maybe I'll get a bunch of extra copies of it and do a giveaway when it comes out. Just for the shits and giggles of it all. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm excited to see it. So there'll be a 0 issue, and then 12 more issues to go. Yeah,
sweet.
So, and it's like I said, it was really good. Seeing the mirror universe of Data was actually like, oh, I actually like this version of Data. Like a bad Data, like a Data broke bad is just a very cool thing. So
yes.
Anyway, all right, let's move on to Dave Filoni news. So this might be my favorite story of the week. So Dave Filoni, I'm going to use air quotes here, got promoted into a, quote, new job at Lucasfilm as the, what did they call him? The executive creative director at Lucasfilm. Want to know the funny thing about this, Darryl?
What's the funny thing about this?
He got this promotion a year ago. They just updated. Updated. Like, it wasn't just him. They updated like 12 other people. Here's the best thing about this story. The absolute best thing about this story, other than people reacting. As people lost their shit so much, they thought he took over for Kathleen Kennedy, that she was trending on Twitter with like, ding dong, the you know what is gone. Yes, I'm so happy Dave is taking over Star Wars.
Man, that's
like I honestly if she hadn't run like my favorite franchise into the ground, I'd almost feel sorry for her.
Yeah, how does that feel, just knowing that people it's not that people don't like you. That's one thing. You can say whatever, but people just think your work is utter shit.
Here's my favorite tweet, though, is from Ming Na. Hell yes. So happy for you, Dave Filoni. Clappy, clappy emoji. So deserve this. Lovey smiley face emoji. Orange heart. So she didn't even know. So it's like, oh, I will say, I was surprised at this paragraph. The excitement is understandable. The 46-year-old has been a fixture at Lucasfilm ever since George Lucas selected him in 2005 to oversee the animated series Clone Wars, which launched in 2008 and ultimately ran for 7 seasons. I would have swore he was in his mid-50s.
Yeah. When I saw that might have been the most surprising. No, that was the most surprising thing.
Finding out he's only 2 years older than us.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? Dude's dad's it's got to be stressful to be Dave Filoni. Let's be honest. I mean, he's had to have multiple back surgeries. He's had to have like his shoulders replaced. he probably doesn't have any cartilage left in his knees from carrying Star Wars on his back since 2008.
I would like to see one of those pictures like before and after, before like before he started working at Lucasfilms to right now, and just see the
You
the
could take a
difference.
picture of what he looks like now as before, and it's just like make him look like Echo from the Bad Batches. That's what he looks like now. He's more machine than man. Whatever goodness was in him has left long ago, died long ago.
Oh man, jeez.
Do you ever think he walks into the room with George and says, "The last time we met, I was but the learner. Now I am the master"? Or will that not be what he says to George when he finally gets tapped to lead Lucasfilm?
That would be hilarious.
The other interesting news that came out of this is Rangers of the New Republic is currently not in active development, aka canceled. I wonder why. You got rid of the star. So
good job.
Not to turn this into a we stand with Gina thing. We stand with
But
Gina.
we do.
We absolutely do. So we stand with her, next to her, behind her, whatever. But yeah, so this was just my favorite story, just because everybody freaked out about it, and I was like, I saw it, I was like, that doesn't sound right. Because we've been hearing Kathleen Kennedy is getting let go since The Last Jedi came out.
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, since before The Last Jedi came out, when Mark Hamill, in his TDS glory, was bashing the movie for the 6 months before it came out.
Yeah.
Here's my question. I'm always going to wonder this. If Mark Hamill had been on board with The Last Jedi, would everyone have still hated it?
There are people that absolutely would not have hated it solely because Mark Hamill was on board with it. Yeah. I guarantee you.
So
yeah. So there are a lot of people out there that heard that news, and to paraphrase, after they realized the truth about it, it's as if a million voices suddenly cried out in terror.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of that. I don't know. I was having a good time. I actually popped back on. I logged back into Twitter to see. But yeah. But there's rumors that Kennedy's contract is up sometime this year, early next year. Nobody knows. So it says here, there's another reason for some Star Wars fans to rejoice at the news of Filoni's title, executive creator director. Kennedy remains a lightning rod for a certain subset of fandom, and predictions of her leaving Lucasfilm have become so common they're practically white noise. Correct. But other fans have also noted on Twitter, Kennedy is the one who gave Filoni his promotion. The Disney leadership has given no indication that Kennedy is leaving her post anytime soon. Filoni's, quote, new position was seen as one of many promotions that were announced internally but not made public. It appears the company was caught off guard by the enthusiastic response to a standard, parenthetical, if overdue, update to its website. At one point on Thursday, the site was temporarily unavailable. It's all another reminder that with Star Wars fans, it is do or do not. There is no try. So here's the funny thing about this last bit is they call this a subset of fans.
Yeah. Subset, and when you mean a veritable majority of fans?
If by I was gonna say if by subset you mean the entire core audience, then
yeah.
Hold on. I'm not a Sith. I don't speak in absolutes. Nearly the entire core audience. Yeah. Okay. Great. Who even wrote this article? Is this even real life? This was written by Adam B. Very. Let's see, what else has Adam B. Very written? Oh, he wrote the Henry Cavill circling Highlander reboot. Every major studio gets together to declare the big screen is back, but it was a lot we'd seen before. Netflix is developing an Ultraman animated feature with an all-new story. Shang-Chi Free Guy will play in theaters for 45 days before home viewing. He-Man Tila Makeover reveals first look at Netflix Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Which, oh my goodness, by the way.
So it's
Yeah.
Hela. It's not Tila, it's Hela.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Marvel Studios, Disney Plus shows don't use showrunners. That has some TV writers worried. It absolutely. Anyway, all right. So Adam B. Very, thank you for breaking the news. Now kindly go away.
Don't just go away. Don't go away, Matt. Just go away.
Yep. All right. So let's move on to Nightwing number 80. Summary, as always. Dick Grayson's always had a big heart, from protecting those persecuted by bullies in his youth to combating evil alongside Batman as Robin, to pledging his newly inherited wealth to enrich Blüdhaven as Nightwing. His kindness and generosity have always guided his life. But now a new villain stalks the back alleys of Blüdhaven, removing the hearts of the city's most vulnerable. Who is this terrifying new menace named Heartless? And will he be able to resist plucking out the biggest heart in all of Blüdhaven? Read this literally heart-wrenching episode or heart-wrenching issue to find out. Tom Taylor killed it again. He's killing it with this story, and Bruno Redondo's art is just perfect for Nightwing.
And yes, and I have to add this: Adriano Lucas is doing the coloring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but I noticed it this issue more, how not just the art as far as the, just the figures and the poses and everything, but the coloring, how much that, I mean, they are like just in lockstep into creating just a great artistic piece in these issues. It's incredible. And again, incredible to look at, but the story itself, like you said, Taylor once again just delivers some, not only like some great scenes, some scenes between Dick and Tim, Dick and Tim, Dick and Babs, and
my favorite thing
conversations
was with the cops, the conversations he was having with the cops, and then he calls Barbara, who had spent the night, and she'd only gotten to the end of the street. He's like, "That's good. Could you come back?" And the cops are really kind of like pushing at him, like, "Oh yeah, we've got you for this. You're made, blah blah blah." And Barbara walks in. "How's it going? Being accused of murder? You?" Just kind of like
that was great. Yeah.
And then the best part is, when she's asking why something, she tells the cop that's not relevant, and the cop says, "Well, I think I'll decide what's relevant." And she goes, "Really? Because I have a law degree." And Dick goes, "Oh yeah, so do I." It was great. It was such a good moment, and it's the two of them operating at like peak Dick and Babs, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then obviously they what Tom Taylor did for Tim Drake in this episode. I don't know why I always call them episodes. In this issue was amazing, and then the gift that Batman sent for Dick, which I don't want to spoil. Go read it. It's on page 9.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about the synchronicity in the conversation, such as when they realize to get information on what happened to one of the homeless guys, and making sure his son's okay. Tim has to go undercover, and like that, just like the whole conversation between Dick and Tim on the way, just on the way across the city, on the train and everything, and then when we get their conversation on radio chatter, and he mentions about Babs staying over.
Yeah.
And I just love because what this, I almost said episode 2, what this issue does so well is there's a lot going on, and the story, the pacing of it, it's like pitch
Yep.
perfect in the
Yep.
sense of it never feels overwhelming, but also it never really feels stunted and or slowed down,
No.
which is, I mean, it's just that perfect combination of, hey, yes, we get these action pieces here, we get an action piece here,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we get some conversation here, very interesting and engaging conversation
Yeah.
as well, which is, again, that's the most important
So-
thing.
And
Like, you know,
you know what else too is we get an idea of where this is in the timeline as compared to the other Bat books. Um, because when Brutal and Electrocutioner show up at the kids camp because Blockbuster wants his cut of the crime, which is perfect. Uh, there's a note that even says check out Robin to see where Brutal goes after this. Um, and you know this is just great. And the what is it on page 17, the fight where Dick takes the Inkarima sticks and puts them together into a bow staff and throws it to Tim, and you know Tim goes to town, and the way that they just are fighting together on page 19, like that's great. Like honestly, if Bruno puts this page up for sale, I might try and buy it.
yeah,
The
there was,
original art.
yeah, I mean, and again, I actually went back after reading it to just look at some of the art itself, like without even like really reading the story, but just taking a little bit more time to drink in, what he put on the page,
Oh yeah.
which was phenomenal.
So
And again, I'm one of those, I think, because you've been more into comics longer, your range of probably like artistic like is a little bit wider than mine. But like when someone has art that makes me gush like this, I
mhm.
mean, I loved Invincible. Obviously back in the prime time, like in the heyday, Jim Lee,
So
and some
so
others.
I get a lot of shit
But
because I like John Romita Jr.
mhm,
Like, and a lot of people hate John Romita Jr.'s art, and I don't like John Romita Jr.'s art in everything, but I like
yeah,
his Spider-Man. I thought he was perfect for Kick-Ass. You know, there's things like I haven't liked most of the stuff he's done for DC in the more recent like year or so, when he was working with Bendis. But yeah, no, but like I like Tab Ramos, I like Mark Bagley, you know Bruno. I like, there's a bunch of them out there. Todd Knock is my favorite. Um, and so yeah, but like I like Phil Hester, and Phil Hester I felt was like a really good style for Nightwing, and this is like kind of a mix between, to me, like Greg Land's little photo-y realistic and Phil Hester's and more animated look, and which is why I like it. And I love the way he draws the bodies in motion. Like in last issue where Dick jumped from the building down to the cafe, right? That was a
right.
beautiful splash page. And here there wasn't like a big splash page like that except for Dick's apartment. And you got the sense of everything that was happening in that apartment. And it told a sequential story of Dick going to get his costume and Barbara opening up the computer for them both to go to work.
And that was actually, I have that written down in my notes as one of my favorites, that top down
Mm-hmm.
scene. And which is, one, you don't get that a lot, and two, you don't get it, like if you do get it, you don't get it in the way that Redondo did this. I
Yep.
thought it was perfect. It told so much in a limited amount of space,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why he used it,
Yep.
and it was such a fantastic idea and fantastic
Yeah.
execution.
Just and Taylor's storytelling here is like I'm excited for this book to come out every month now. And I can't say that it's been true with Nightwing of late. Like Jurgens stepped in to kind of save it a little bit, but it is what it is. But hey, Tim got to take the three-legged dog into the park and become one of the guys. So that was
Yeah.
good. All right. Do you have anything else you want to add to this one?
No, I'm looking forward to next month and with this confrontation with Heartless.
Yeah,
finally.
and leaving off with that, and like here's the thing: is after this one, then we go back to Zuko, Mayor Zuko. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, okay. So let's move on to the Bad
Do you want to give
Batch.
it a rating?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Um, let's see. Out of burning homeless child encampments, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5.
I have it as a 4.25.
Okay.
Just again, great story, great artwork. Looking forward to the next issue.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I was excited for the. I'm excited to read this anyway. But like the way this kind of went down, I'm just super excited to move forward.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so moving on to the Bad Batch, the batch of bad clones, the mutant clones, if you will. So, yeah. So this episode is called Cornered. It is directed by Saul Ruiz, written by Christian Taylor. On their way to a proposed hiding place on the planet Adalfor, the Bad Batch are forced to stop on Panthora to gather supplies and protect and modify their ship's signature to escape the Empire's wanted list. However, the landing bay attendant identifies them and informs Fennec Shand, a mercenary hired to retrieve Omega. Shand comes upon Omega and tries to abduct her, but Hunter arrives and challenges Shand, triggering a furious chase throughout the city. After shaking off Shand and completing the modifications, the Bad Batch depart from Panthora, with Shand remaining in pursuit. Um, I, there's nothing wrong with this show.
No.
There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't do anything poorly, in my opinion. I just don't think. I think the Clone Wars burning away and showing the Bad Batch logo is very apropos for what this series actually is.
And what do you mean by that?
It is a lesser facsimile of the superior version of the show.
That's fair.
And again, it's not bad. I watch it. I watch it on Fridays. I like, it's the first thing I watch when I wake up on Friday mornings before I do anything really. I enjoy it. Let me rephrase. I like it. But I think I, I don't know. I would have maybe liked to see a different bounty hunter here. Because we know where Fennec is going to end up, and because of the hype that was placed upon her, the fact that she took Wrecker out with just one sidestep into a wall when he was still wearing his helmet, and he went down and was out, like I thought that was strange. You know, maybe the Bad Batch just isn't as tough as we were led to believe they are. Or maybe, like I've been saying all along, Crosshair was the one to watch.
Yeah. And considering you have a character that pushed 3 tanks off a cliff that were locked, that were chained together, or lifted a spaceship off of a clone, something as simple as that, taking him out of the fight, unless, and again, I'm going to put a caveat here, unless when he hit his head last episode, if that is going to play dividends or pay dividends later on, and we find out that there might be something going on in his head, like almost like post-concussion syndrome.
Yeah,
that's the only way this would make sense,
right?
Because otherwise it doesn't make sense to me. And as an episode as a whole, I like what you said. You said this show has not done anything what I would call wrong. It's one of those, going back to sports, you have a player who's, he's not great in any one thing. He's not bad at anything. He's just solid.
Yeah.
And that's what I look at this show as, solid. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I really, really, really enjoyed the first episode. And so far that might be my favorite one, just because It showed them as badasses. It showed them as, and again, that, like, to your point, that was when Crosshair was with them. But they all did something.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this episode, again, I don't think it did anything bad, but it didn't do anything to make me want to take another viewing of it.
Yeah.
I think in a way, this these first 4 episodes remind me of kind of like that stop and go, what you would call how the Mandalorian started. And again, I'm not comparing it to the Mandalorian in the sense of which one is better, but just as far as the first few episodes, they were just kind of like stop and go. You kind of almost as if in a video game where you have to go to point A to point B to point C, and we didn't get any overarching type of real meat and potatoes plot or whatever the arc of the season's going to be. Again, it's fine in and of itself. There were some good things. I really loved the whole naivety of Omega and her, some of the stuff, how she, just like kids do sometimes, how she'll repeat a phrase she hears from one of the clones. My thing is this, and this is what I wrote down about her. When she, in her time with Fennec, one of the things Fennec says when she steals the food is, she said, it's okay to break the rules sometimes. So I'm wondering if that's going to be one of those things that comes back, and Omega remembers that. And again, that's one of the good things, I thought. I did, Mark, when you sent me the text about the glass jaw portion of our clones, and I saw when Hunter gets headbutted, I was like, that's not okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But then I saw, to your point, then I saw what happens to Wrecker, and I just said, there could have been a better way they could have had Fennec get out of that than something so simple.
Well, especially because she's supposed to be this like super devious, like super methodical bounty hunter, and really she just used brute force for the most part, and ended up getting outsmarted by a child clone and in a dump truck.
Yeah.
Although I will say the dump truck driver, there's a really funny clip on if you type in Bad Batch truck driver into YouTube, and it shows you what he was listening to in his headphones. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's not a Rick Astley thing, I promise. I'm not doing that to you guys again like I did with the Oscar clip. So the link for the Oscars, I just sent it to a Rickroll.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, I tell you what I really did like about this episode is I liked what they did with Echo. I liked Echo a lot in this episode.
Droid Echo.
And it's like, you know what? That is brilliant. That is hands down brilliant for them to do. And I even like when the guy asked what kind of droid it is, and he's like, "Oh, it's a modified military droid
prototype."
Yeah, prototype. Yeah. And it's like, oh my god. And then the protocol droid is afraid of a gun. That was great. Like, and the astromechs were like, "Yeah, we want to help." But I did like the one that was like a cross between like R2-D2 and an Ewok, because he had like the stubby arms and legs. And he had like a ton of personality. I will say they have not had the best track record with droids on like just the Clone Wars series and Rebels in general. And I thought this was a good use of the clones all the way around, or the droids all the way around.
Yeah. I mean, there weren't any choppers in here, but I did like that droid you were talking about. That was the one that stood out for me as well.
But yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like this was a calm before the storm kind of an episode. I think we're gonna get something big next week. At least I hope we do.
Yeah, because you get Hunter saying, "Who we got to find out who she's working for," and then the next scene after that, Fennec is communicating with whoever hired her to track them down, or to track Omega down. So I'm assuming
Grief Karga. We're gonna see. We're gonna see more fan service cameos.
Similar to how in Nightwing we got that last scene with Nightwing coming face to face with Heartless.
Yeah.
In this scene we get that communication of Fennec, and I don't think we're going to be. I think, like you said, next week we are going to get that pop off of what this season is going to be about. Like the overall story arc is going to be out. We know it has to do with Omega, but in what way?
Yeah.
And why is she important? I think we'll start to get those answers next week.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. So all right. So let's I mean, this was a good all around. Like you said, this is like the Adrian Dantley of like Star Wars series. I know that's a really old basketball player reference. It's like a Bob Orry. How about that? It's a Bob Orry. Like, he's an all around solid guy, and he's gonna hit something clutch when he needs to. And like that's what this series is gonna do.
Okay, it's hilarious that how we think sometimes, because when you say Adrian Dantley, the name that came up was Robert Horry.
Yeah, I mean,
when you said that,
Bob Horry was just the better version of Adrian. Anyway, down the line. But yeah, so I think I do think this is going to have a whole bunch of high notes and things that we're going to talk about over time. I just think it's following from the Clone Wars season 7 is a hard act to follow.
Oh yeah,
and no matter what we were gonna be like okay. So let's hope for the best. But yeah, like I said, I think it's serviceable. So out of military prototype manned droids out of 5, I think I got to go with a 3.
I almost did that. I got it as a 3.25. Again, solid, nothing spectacular, nothing that makes me want to say, hey, you know what? Let me just turn on this episode again. But I think it's leading to bigger things.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not rewatch the episode. I only watched it once. I've been rewatching everything. I was just like, I got what I needed out of it. I saw what I needed. There wasn't anything that's like, oh, I got to see that again. So,
yeah.
Cool. All right. Then moving on to our final topic of the evening.
The piece de la resistance.
One, I'm going to reiterate, I'm mad at all of you who did not watch this show. So it left at 1.25 million viewers. It left off. It was up from the week before. From episode 4 to episode 5 went up. Episode 6 had about a 41% drop off. So we only got about just over 725,000 viewers. And that's in like real time. So like it's hopefully more than that. They're not going to pick up another 300,000 viewers. But if you're still listening to our nonsense at this point, please tell your friends about this show. Like if they were watching this and enjoying this, like encourage them to go back, because Broken Trust is a great episode. There's a ton of cool stuff that happens in this episode, and there's some real head scratchers of things that we'll get to. But Supergirl closed out at like 400 something thousand. Batwoman this week did under 400,000, and yet it's still picked up for a third season. I'm interested how low that show will go on just basic, television. But yeah, so definitely like make sure, like if you have friends that like kind of forgot about this, I'm gonna be honest, like I thought it was next week, and when Darryl texted me, asked if I watched it, I was like, nope.
Yeah, and again, it's the biggest mistake they made with this show was premiering it when they didn't have all these episodes, and they knew they were going to have to put it on a 6 or 7 week hiatus, however long it was, almost 2-month hiatus, and then on top of that, put something like Supergirl in its place.
So they filled in Supergirl, right? So Supergirl does not come back until August. Like why bother? Why not run the first 7-8 episodes of Supergirl and then introduce Superman and Lois? I mean, it was a mid-season replacement anyway. And because of what they did, it's going to run into the summer anyway.
That is so patently stupid decision as far as a show schedule. I don't even know what to say to that.
They would have
That
been
is
better
just
off replaying the first
bonkers.
5 episodes again.
They would.
Than
They absolutely
were
would.
Of doing Supergirl. And what they absolutely should have done is said, hey, this time we're going to show the extended episodes that are on the app.
That would have been
on
great.
live TV. That's what they should have done. In a what you should have done, because Supergirl is not a good show. Supergirl is the prototype CW show that has people flooding, like just jumping off the boat of these DC shows. And I mean, even the Flash isn't even getting a million viewers anymore.
Yeah, you know how many episodes, how many minutes of the Flash I've watched this year so far?
Probably the same as I have for the last 3 years.
Exactly.
So, the same amount of Legends of Tomorrow that I've watched as well. Yeah,
which I actually like Legends, but I just haven't gone back to it, and I'll watch it when it gets on Netflix.
I liked Legends,
maybe if I remember.
Like Legends was the most fun. It's been on Netflix for 2 seasons now, and I haven't even bothered. You know, so I can't even say like, oh well, when it hits Netflix, I'll watch it. When it hits HBO Max, that's when I'll watch it. Anyway, but I mean, they put this up on HBO Max during the hiatus. You know, 1 episode at a time. No, they did all 5. But yeah, it's just like I don't understand it. Like it's almost like they did it on purpose. Like they were upset that it was doing so well.
And funny enough, I know it sounds conspiracy. Like, why would you cut off your nose to spite your face? But we see this a lot in entertainment.
Yeah.
Hell, we see it with Star Wars right now. But that was my first thought when you told me the ratings. And some of the stuff that's gone around with this show and how this show is more focused on, surprise, story more than the other CW shows.
I think the core to this story, the other thing too, is a nuclear family.
Yes.
And that flies in the face of the social justice terrorists that we have at war with the nuclear family, and that we have these other shows that are showing a war of the nuclear family.
Yeah. And again, maybe I think that's, well, no, I don't think that is one of the things that draws me to this show.
Yeah.
Is how, despite everything going on in their lives, you know, you have Jordan and Jonathan, you know, just not just high school, but having to deal with, oh yeah, our father's pretty much the most powerful. Well, he's a man, but he's also an alien in the world. Clark having to deal with his sons knowing that, and Jordan now having powers. Mm-hmm. Lois is doing her reporter thing. But despite all of that, they still come together at times as a family. Mm-hmm. And it's not just peachy, and it's great how it's not just peachy keen. It's not just conflict all the time, but it's just like most families, it's a nice little mix of both.
Right.
And we get that in this episode. We get one of my, I put like the good, the great, and the cringe. And we get the dynamic between Jonathan and Jordan for me. It's just fantastic, and it continues to be fantastic. Are we going to do spoilers in this?
Yeah, we got to, because we have to, because like the big head scratcher for me is the spoiler for what happened at the end of the episode.
Okay, so we have this, you know, Jonathan, and this has gone on throughout the first 6 episodes, where Jonathan was the star athlete. Mm-hmm. Jonathan was a popular kid. They moved to Smallville, and now he has to fit in, and he's finding a way to fit in with his teammates and everything, but it's still tough on him, especially knowing
he was Superman, and now he's a normie.
Yes, and now his brother, who was, you know, the guy that wasn't popular, the guy that, you know, the kid that, you know, just everybody would look at, oh, that's that weird kid here. Mm-hmm. You know, now he's getting that popularity with the team because because he's able to play football, but also I think, again, that's something that's good for him because he's had issues, and finding that balance of, brother and, friends now is huge for him,
Mm-hmm.
but that he still has issues. And the biggest issue is understanding the responsibility he has when he has powers. He's not a normal kid. And also just thinking about that at that age, if you and that, what, they're 15, right? I think they're, because they're
14, 15. Yeah, they're
14
freshmen.
to 15. Yeah. Thinking about that age and the emotions that are involved with that. And then you go from like a nothing to, people actually like you,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have that pent up anger for everything that you've experienced, and learning how to say, okay, I can't just punch somebody.
Yeah.
I love that juxtaposition. And the fact that in the scene we're talking about, where Jordan would have punched one of their, rival
So
schools,
hold on.
Metropolis, which,
So before we get to that, right? Because this is kind of for me where the broken trust came into play.
okay,
Is Jonathan every day supports Jordan every single
absolutely,
day.
yes,
Jonathan has become, when we first met Jonathan, he was the uber jock, right? He was the big man on campus, the QB1 as a freshman. And he's had to learn all of this empathy towards Jordan, which he did not have before. Like, he was probably just as guilty as picking on Jordan as the kids that Jordan wanted to get revenge on this week when Smallville played Metropolis. And it's kind of weird that Metropolis only has one high school. Um, just saying. Anyway,
yeah,
but but Jonathan is looking out for Jordan like a big brother, even though he's just a couple minutes older, throughout the entire episode, right? So when Jordan goes to punch that kid, and like you said, he's probably gonna maim or kill him. Jordan stupidly, his own words, steps in, and Jordan maims him. Literally
yeah,
maims him. Like, his right hand may never work right again. He's probably never going to play quarterback again, right?
hmm
And the fact that Clark and Lois were just like, go to bed, was the head scratcher. Like, how Clark didn't like fly him up into like as high into space as he could get and still breathe, and read him the riot act and scare the living, Ra into him. The Kryptonian god Ra. Anyway, um, why he didn't do that, and they just like, both Clark and Lois brushed it off, and I was like, I told you, I texted you, what all I want to see from this series now is Jonathan team up with Alexander and go bad and kill Jordan.
So I get that, and it was funny because I watched a reaction about this from Blind Wave, and one of the guys, Aaron, he said the exact same thing you're saying, and I thought about it. It's like, you know what, you're absolutely right, because I was so focused on them talking about it was accidental that he broke Jordan's hand, which it was. He didn't
Yeah.
mean to break Jordan's hand. However,
Jonathan.
This is where Jonathan, yeah, I'm sorry, and this is where I think they should have focused more. It's like, it's not the fact. Yes, we know you accidentally broke Jonathan's hand, but you would have punched that would, and Clark should have said that would have been someone's face.
Yeah.
And if you were lucky, you would have only broken his jaw.
Yeah.
If you were lucky, that's all that would have happened.
Yep.
And again, despite the fact that I love that scene, like before that, the scene where Jordan does that, only because it's juxtaposed with Clark almost losing his temper, which Superman getting pissed at you and his eyes lighting up like that as those soldiers.
Oh.
Yeah. I hope they had their pee-pee pants on.
They definitely, well, they had their brownish pants on, so I think they were okay. This episode, this episode opens with Tag running away. It picks up right where the last episode left off. Tag's running away, and he crosses the railroad tracks at super speed. And because he's so inexperienced, he doesn't actually know what that's going to do, right? He doesn't.
Right.
Tag did not know he was going to derail that train. And so, like we were talking about with the Green Lantern effects, this was the best TV Superman effects I've ever seen.
Yes.
The use of strength and flight and heat vision, and it showed how smart he is, and how like how super he really is. And it was just one of those things. And did I send you that warp speed thing about the Flash? I meant to. If
I
I
don't think
didn't,
so.
so there's this thing. Warp Speed did a thing where it was Barry, like it was the Flash. It was he was the Flash. It wasn't Grant. It wasn't the actor, but reading the "I'm the fastest man alive" thing, and the guy's like, "Come on, hold on, get in." And he's like, "None of this is true. You can't believe anything. You guys aren't even friends. You're acquaintances, whatever." And just going through all the things that Barry has done to like mess everything up, so he rewrites it. So the guy in the booth rewrites it, and the one thing is like, it gets to the end. He's like, "And I refuse to suspend the disbelief that anyone could ever get away from the Flash when he could, because he can cover the whole city in 7 seconds." But the fact that Tag was running at super speed, he was able to get away from Clark, and I thought that was a really cool touch because Clark was distracted just long enough for a speedster who would be able to get away.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of compound on what you were talking about with that scene and how much it shows about Clark, and that's the thing. I think people, when people see Superman, when people think of Superman, they think of his abilities, his physical abilities. Superman is highly intelligent too, and I don't think even the comics don't always hit that. Like when there was I can't remember, I think I don't know which comic it was, but Superman said something about like there was something going on, and Superman mentioned about like, I guess flying around the earth or something like that, something that Superman wouldn't have thought to do. But it was a scene where it was almost just to make Batman look good, because he said, "I can list 100 reasons. Do I need to list 100 reasons why you shouldn't do that?"
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times people forget how smart Superman is.
Well, if you look at like
And
John Byrne's Superman, he was very smart. He was like when he first met Batman in Man of Steel. He's using his telescopic X-ray, microscopic vision to detect clues, and he was very much the investigative reporter that Clark Kent is and should be. So yeah, I think this is such an interesting take on the character, because he's not Clark Kent intrepid reporter. He's Clark Kent dad. And he's got
we've never gotten that.
He's got a whole different set of priorities. Not just being the protector of Earth, but raising 2 teenage boys, one of which is a super, who has a bunch of emotional issues. I imagine Clark spends a lot of time flying away and like, why didn't John get the powers?
But man, Tyler Hoechlin, some of his scenes he does so well. Like the scene I just mentioned with when he was pissed off after getting shot by kryptonite bullets, that was great. But when the scene where he takes the boys downstairs and Jordan punches through the log, or punches
the first
log,
time, yeah.
Well, the second, well, that too. He was like, "Oh, I thought it would have been instinctual." So,
yeah.
But then his just excitement when Jordan does it,
the
that
nerdiness
second time, it's
of
just
him.
it's just so great. And then you have these moments where the conversation in the hotel room where and I don't know, there was something about that really hit me emotionally when Jordan was like, "I'm not like you," and which that actually comes back when Clark's like, "But you just said you weren't like me, right?" But like there are scenes littered throughout these episodes, these first 6 episodes, that are just such great storytelling, not just from a story arc perspective, but from a character's perspective, and building these bonds with these characters and this nuclear family that are just it's just so good to see. Because as much as I've liked the first couple seasons of Arrow, the first couple seasons of The Flash, none of these shows did that this well.
I put this on the level of Smallville. I mean, Smallville caught everybody on the first episode. On that pilot, people were like, "Oh, whoa, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is interesting. This is something different. This is something new. And that's what this is. This is different and new. And the overwhelming theme about this episode was trust. And he makes the very valid point. He said even after 20 years of doing this, I have to be at the top of my game, because if I do one thing to mess it up, they'll never trust me again. And you never get that trust back fully. And I think we're gonna see this now. I think seeing John pull away. I think seeing John pull away from the family. Um, the neat thing is like with the military guys, when they shot the kryptonite arrows or darts, whatever, bullets into him. Um, he had a couple of options there. He could have just taken them all out, taken tag, and flown away. He could have just killed them all, and been like, tag, you're on my team now. Or he did what he did, where he took it out and he kind of, aggressively let them know they were wrong and destroyed the kryptonite.
Yeah.
I think I think what they're doing a very good job is showing here is with the right leverage, like you can push this multiverse's Superman over the edge. But the difference from the one that Alexander left, Captain Luther left, to this one is this one has Lois Lane.
Mhm.
This one has a
Yeah.
family. He has something. This Superman is completely different than any Superman we've really ever seen. We've seen Superman married. We've seen Superman with John in the comics, but we haven't seen Superman having to deal with an emotionally troubled son. I would almost put this on par with what happened with Infinite Crisis, with the Superboy Prime and Earth 2 Superman and Lois dying. Not when she died, but she was, in the act of dying when they were in between dimensions or in between universes. Um, you know, I almost think Alexander will find a kindred spirit in John at some point during this series.
That is actually a very interesting take,
And if you're not going there,
because
Berlanti, you can have that one for free.
you're welcome. Because again, like how long is he going to be able to keep his what he's there for from Lois? Because Lois already knows after the he used the hilt of a lightsaber
Oh, he
to
almost told her this week.
yeah.
So
So I don't think that's going to be long for, but I don't know how much he's going to tell her and when. You know what I mean? So I find him an interesting character, and I'm very curious to see once he goes face to face with Superman, and if he's going to be able to be turned, or if the way Clark's goodness is now, who knows? That might have been the same Clark that he's used to. He might have seen that same Clark, and then something happened. So it's almost like Batman. If there's even a 1% chance he can go wrong, we have to stop him,
yeah,
and that might be his driving force. It doesn't matter, because I think he said this earlier in the season, where like this guy's a good guy, and he's like, well, right now he is. I think he told General Lane that, or something along
yeah.
those lines. That so that I don't know if I see Jonathan kind of breaking from the family.
I
However,
don't think it's
there
breaking
is
from the family. That's the thing. Is I think when I say kindred, right? I don't like, as much as I want to see John like gain powers and become like the anti Superboy, boy super. If we're going with kick ass, like ass kick, and anyway, like I could see him like being that kindred where it's like, hey, look, I don't trust these people either, but they're my family, right?
Mhm.
So I have to give them the benefit of the doubt, even up until the moment it's too late. Case in point, my right hand. Um, he's apparently didn't get to experience the stranger for a while. Um, anyway, but I think I think from what I meant by that is Alex, I could see, because he loves this version of Lois. You can tell. They've written it that way. They've done a really good job of showing that. Is how much he loved his wife, and he sees the same things in her, in this
Yeah, those same
multiverse as
qualities.
Lois.
Yes.
And eventually there will be a big enough bad that he will sacrifice himself, and he will then let her know, like, on my Earth, we were a thing. You were my everything, and vice versa. But I don't see that happening for a couple seasons.
Right. Yeah.
But,
I mean, there's still a lot of story they can use with this version of Luther, who I'll admit I was kind of skeptical just based on a lot of experience with seeing how not just CW but WB and DC treat a lot of their characters. I have to say, so far, I do like how they've approached this, this Luther. So I am looking forward to seeing everything, how everything plays out with him and his relationship with Lois as the reporter Marcus.
Yep.
And when he finally comes face to face with Clark.
Yep. I want to see him come face to face with Clark, not Cap.
Yes, that's what
So
and I said Superman earlier for the sense of
no, I get that,
but
because he's come face.
I think
to face,
you're right.
He's come mask, helmet to face with Superman.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
no,
I actually I'd rather see that too.
I'm excited for this series. Like, is it Wednesday yet? Because I watched it on Wednesdays. It's on Tuesday nights. Watch it on Tuesday nights if you can. But I like watching it on the app.
I'm in the Wednesday club now that I got rid of YouTube TV. So
welcome to the club, Darryl. We have Fire Flakes in sweet cream.
Oh, sweet cream ice cream. It's one of my favorites.
Dole Whip, dude, all the way. Dole Whip. Cool. All right, so out of 5 kryptonite darts to the chest,
I give it a 4.5. This may be my favorite episode of the series so far. I mean, we're only 6 episodes in, or if not, it's up there. I just loved everything they've done with Jonathan and Jordan. I love how they've kind of slowly turned the tables on, who's the popular brother, and some of that strife you were talking about that Jonathan is feeling, and the warranted anger that he feels towards Jordan, because again, remember, he didn't want to go out that night. And
right.
So that's another one.
And the
of
other
those
thing
things.
too is Jonathan stepped up this week and got that touchdown.
Yeah,
and was turning it around,
and they stomped Metropolis.
Yeah.
So and there's another scene that really got to me as well. I forgot to mention this during our talk, was during the game when they dogpile Jordan, and then his abilities are about to come out. Which the first time it happened at school, Jonathan calmed him down. This time he was like, I can't hold it, and then Clark was like, let it out.
Yeah, and put his hand right there. That was crazy.
And you could see the discomfort and pain that Clark felt, like taking that blast that close. That scene, that was such an incredible scene of seeing a father, the sacrifice he would make.
Oh yeah, that's Clark Kent.
Keep his son safe.
That's Clark Kent.
Yeah,
dad.
It was amazing. So, that was amazing. So I love what we have so far. I love this episode.
I too 4.5. I'm excited to see more. So
yeah.
All right. That's the episode.
Question.
Sorry. Yeah.
Is it Wednesday
yet? No, almost. It is Friday. It will be Wednesday next week. All right. So if you guys like what you're hearing, 5-star reviews, iTunes, Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, watch along there if you like. There's timestamps. I think, I don't know how the timestamps work because I put the timestamps in the show notes. But anyway, yeah. So make sure you watch Supes and Lolo next week, man, and ladies and everybody else. It's really good, and I think
amazing.
I think they cast it so well.
Yeah,
Tyler and Bitsy we already had, but like the addition of Wally Parks, I think he adds a ton of just like genuineness to the role because he's likable. Even in Premium Rush, when his character was a douche, like you still kind of liked him. So it's like, yeah, I kind of get why he doesn't like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. I get it. I don't agree, but I get it. And I still am having a hard time with Dylan Walsh as Sam Lane. But that has nothing to do with Dylan Walsh. I think it's the weird motivations they've given Sam Lane. So
yeah, that's the one hiccup I would think, as far as from the main, and supporting cast of characters and how they're writing a character is his. I don't know. There's just something about the way they write his character thus far that I'm not quite down with.
Yep. All right. We'll talk about this more next week. So thank you all for listening. Have a great weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. And we'll talk to you later.
Peace out.
Bye. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.